Hi there. After an extended leave, I'm back to make another video. I was on leave for fixing the house and then I spilled water on my laptop. Doesn't work good with laptops or any electronics I could imagine. So today we're going to talk about two new things in Planner Premium, which used to be called Project for the Web. I'm going to cover baselines and I'm going to take a look at Copilot in Teams for Planner. So here we are in the new Planner, and what I'm looking at is a Microsoft Teams environment where Planner is activated. So the big deal here is that Microsoft decided to first have the new features of Planner inside Microsoft Teams, because that they decided and they found out was the place where most people would use it. Now, during that water spill, the part where the recording actually had my mouse actually disappeared. So we have to do this first part without the mouse. So you can collapse your menu, which is a very nice feature that I think all Teams apps should have, because then you have some more real estate. On the far right, we'll see a baseline button. Now, this project doesn't have a baseline right now, so I click on the Create Baseline button to actually create that baseline. Now, if you're not familiar with baselines, I did an extensive line of articles already on the blog. This, however, is only a baseline on the top level of your projects. So that means that it does not contain everything we know and love from baselines from Microsoft Project. However, what it does have, and a feature that has been a request for Project for so long, is that it can change the name of the baseline. A very simple feature that I think everyone will love once they get to use it on multiple baselines. That's another thing that's not in the current version of Planner and baselines. It is a single baseline. But we do have the option to change the name of that baseline. So that's very cool for reporting purposes, where you can say, okay, well, this is the original approved budget, or this is a scope change, or this is a second scope change. And what you're seeing here is that there's an option to add notes. You have a finish, a start date, a duration, and an effort. And remember, effort is work. And on the bottom line, it says stay tuned for updates for baselines and learn more, which basically directs you to the Microsoft website and blog articles on Microsoft Planner and progress in there. The baseline currently is on track because it is exactly the same, because it's just created. So there's an option to delete the baseline, and I can close this side pane, and then we would have a first baseline. Now it doesn't show up in the grid, so I changed the schedule a little bit, add a start date, add some duration for a couple of tasks. I'll make some tasks dependent on each other, and I'll see that the baseline now has a behind schedule for 18 days. The visualization of this is very nice, so I kind of like this. I can also delete the baseline like I mentioned earlier, and then I can again create a new baseline, and it tells me that I'm on track, so I can change this to be the new scope after a major change such as I did just now. Now, for baselines, it's very important to note that even though we don't have a task-by-task baseline visualization, Microsoft is ensuring us that that information is actually stored in the Dataverse. So you would be able, and I haven't been able to do this myself, but you would be able to capture the baseline information on a task level for each of these projects. So even though we're not seeing it in the graphical interface at the moment, you will be able to see that in reports. So the next topic that's on the plate is Copilot. And Copilot, as you can see here from the screen, when I'm creating a new plan, Copilot is a premium feature. That means that with the planner application, you will only be able to use Copilot if you have a Plan 3 and a Plan 5 license. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create a new premium plan from scratch, and I'm going to add that to a group just to have it inside a logical place within Microsoft Teams. Because I already have it combined with a group, all the users that are in that group will automatically be assigned as a member of this project as well. So here we are. This is a fresh new schedule, and I can collapse the menu again. And on the top right, you'll see that familiar Copilot icon. So once we click on that icon, we can see that there's a menu popping up. And in the menu on the top, you'll see a couple of suggestions of what you can do. So you can add tasks for, a draft of a product version, give me a suggestion, give me a status report, add a subtask. What are some ways of increasing revenue? I don't know what that has to do with this current project. And there's these little snippets, I believe they call them pills, create buckets for Teams roles. So there's also this little book, and that typically gives you a couple of prompts that are actually going to work for us. So you can create tasks for, create goals, create buckets. Again, this is a very basic project, and I want to start from scratch doing a couple of things in Copilot. So let's try this out. Create buckets for a typical PMI schedule, and let's see if it's going to work. It's getting things ready, finishing up. And I'm not sure what happens under the hood. What I do know is that it didn't do anything. So, and we're going to see a couple of examples of that here, where I'm trying to actually prompt Copilot, which is in preview, by the way, so it's all right, to do what I wanted to do. And and wouldn't be able to do the things that I wanted it to do. So let's try that again. Create 5 tasks. And once again, what we're seeing is that it will not be able to finish this. It's taking a long time, so I'm again stopping this generation. And what I did is I paused the recording at that point in time, and I thought, okay, well, let's try that another day and see if it is something to do with the day. That was the 8th of July, related to Copilot. I didn't know, but I couldn't get this to work at that point in time. So we're back again. Create a schedule, a PMI schedule, and here we see Copilot doing its magic. It's gathering information, it's formulating that really nicely, and here we have our WBS. So it says that it can do it right now, but it actually did. So that's very nice. What it created is a WBS, so a work breakdown structure with its phases and its tasks, and it looks nice, but it's missing all the extras. So it's missing a start date, a finish date, a duration, effort. It doesn't show up as having buckets, but we'll see that in a later step in this schedule where it also has buckets. So let's see. Can you add some duration to our WBS? And I'm very specific here to see if it could take a 2-year time frame, but it immediately told me that it couldn't do that yet. Is there something else I can do for you? Well, it's always polite, and I really like it. However, not being able to add durations to tasks in a project scheduling machine or application sounded like a miss. Okay, so let's try this. Can you link up tasks so that they are chained together with dependencies? So it seemed like it was going to give me what I wanted, but I can't do that yet. So that's another one that it can't do. So it can't do duration, it can't do dependencies. So let me do it myself here and add some tasks, add some duration, not tasks, add some duration, add some start dates. And let me have a look at the buckets as well with a board. And here you see that it actually filled in all the buckets, or it created buckets and it filled them in, and it added tasks to it, which is quite strange because some of them even were in closed phase. So it immediately told me where I could have expected these. Oh, hold on. The bucket is aligned to the phase of the project. So there's the initiation, which is at the define. Right, I see what is happening there. So I noticed that not any of those phases have a milestone. So let's add milestones at the end of every summary task and see if it can ingest these tasks at the right state, at the right moment in our project schedule. So make sure that they're related to the work that has been completed inside that summary. And what we'll see is it's able to create these tasks. However, they added it at the end of the whole schedule. So it doesn't have a concept of what the summary tasks were supposed to be, or it doesn't have the capability of ingesting it at different locations in the schedule itself. So what you'll see is that at the end, finalizing all project activity milestones, establishing project schedule and budget milestone, it added all of them, but all the way down. So let me correct that as well, and let me speed up this section here so that we have a schedule that we can actually use for some follow-up questions that we might want to ask our lovely Copilot. So here we are in the schedule again, where we have added duration, there's dependencies, it has assignments. So this is starting to look like a real actual schedule, what we want to have. So let's add that baseline again, create baseline button. I'll call it my first baseline, or first schedule baseline, or first scope, or proof schedule. Anything goes, because now we have that option to give that project baseline a actual nice name. So let's make a couple of changes and see if Copilot is able to pick that up and report on that as being some deviation or some strange anomaly compared to the baseline. So one thing I want to ask it is I want to see if it can give me a status report. First 5 actions that I need to take. Make a list of the first 5 actions that I need to take in this plan. So I'm assigned to some of these project tasks, so I would assume that identifying project objectives is indeed one of those tasks. Now it's interesting to see it does find 5 things, even though I'm assigned 4, and it picks up the summary task as well. So Gerwin is another person that's working on my project. So what does he have to do? And it's able to pick that up really nicely. So in large schedules, you can just query the schedule and see who's working on the project and who's doing what. So let's take another look at the plan, or let's take another look at the booklet, and let's create some goals for successfully completing this project. Okay, so it said that it completed those goals, so let's take a look. And here we go. Yeah, so launch of the Copilot for YouTube. Conduct beta testing, very broad. Finish the development of core features, complete the design, develop a work breakdown structure. It's funny. Define the project scope and objectives. Yeah, so it is able to create those goals that are inside this project. Remember, these are goals that are local, stored only in this schedule. Now I'm wondering if it can grab all the tasks that I have and associate them with the relevant goals that we have. So let's make this very specific and link the tasks that I'm assigned to the launch the Copilot for YouTube goal. Pretty straightforward prompt here, but after a while it didn't work, so we returned to our schedule, and I was wondering if it could give me a status report for this plan. So a status report, in my opinion, is a condensed version of what we're seeing in the schedule, focusing on the important things of our project. And here it goes. It actually does something. It generates information, and it looks nice because it's bold and it has text in it, a lot of text in it. It tells me people are working on certain tasks. It tells me the date. But on closer inspection of what we're seeing here, the response that we're getting from Copilot is actually just a summary of all the tasks that we have in our schedule. So it even tells us that. It says next task is blah blah blah, next task is blah blah blah. It does have a piece on top where it has the total amount of hours, the percentage complete. So that top part of this summary, this status update, is actually nice, but underneath it will start talking about each and every task in line. And I don't think that that should be part of a status report. So let's refine that prompt a little bit. So give me a status report for this plan. Only focus on the most important things, right? Only focus on summary tasks, for instance, or even focus on changes compared to the baseline. Remember, we made a little change there halfway through the video. Highlight total duration. So typically when you give a prompt more context, it will know that it needs to focus on the context thing, focus on the further explanation of your prompt. And we're off to the races again. So the last line here is, okay, well, the early stages is not started, and total duration of the, and there it cuts off. It also still uses every line in the project. So who's working on defining the project scope and goals? I'm sorry, I can't find any specific information. Really interesting, because maybe it's the way of wording what we're doing here. We can retry and change the prompt a little bit. Who's working on defining the project scope and goals? So that's the summary task. So I would have hoped the Copilot would be able to see, okay, that's a summary task, and let's have a look at anything down below. And it couldn't find any specifics. So there's no relation to the summary task and the task level for Copilot's perspective, at least. So let's try another way of prompting this, see if it can find the right answer right now. So now it's saying that there's no one in the current plan associated. However, several related tasks are assigned to Eric. So there is a concept of associated tasks, let's call them like that. So it's really around how you word these prompts that give you a better or worse description. So let's add some more details in the define project scope and goals phase. And it will be able to do this. And what you'll see is a little glowing shadow behind tasks that are added to the schedule from Copilot's perspective, which is nice because then it tells you, okay, well, I did this. Please take a look and see if it's okay. So I really liked that it was able to give more detail for a specific phase. It can undo in the sense that I didn't want it to do the thing it did. However, undo is something it can do, but redo is something it can't. So there's a way back, but there's not a way back from back. So let's try goals again, and let's try to connect a specific task to one of those goals. And we'll let this thing think a little more. So far, what I've seen from Copilot in preview for Planner, it hasn't been as successful as any of the other Copilots so far. And that's a shame, because I think that AI and generative AI can be a huge help for anyone working in the project management ecosystem. So far, I tried 19 prompts, sorry. I tried 19 prompts, and 7 of them succeeded and 12 of them failed. So there's a way to go. If you like this video, maybe you'll enjoy all these videos that are on screen right now. Consider subscribing. This has been fun. Hope to see you next time.